Welcome to Bahia, Brazil, home to some of the most beautiful beaches and most luscious rainforests the planet has to offer. This is also where today's featured tarantula species, the Ybyrapora diversipes, or the Amazon Sapphire Pink-Toe, makes its home. This small to mid-sized New World arboreal species makes for one of the most colorful tarantulas you could possibly find, sporting a myriad of blues, violets, and greens. It seems that each molt reveals a new set of colors and patterns. Spiderlings tend to be a lot more vivid and colorful than adults, sporting a emerald green shade with a pink dorsal stripe running down the abdomen. Eventually, the coloration on the abdomen fades, and the body color of the tarantula turns to a more uniform brown. However, the legs still remain bright and colorful, now featuring a variety of pink, lavender, and bright electric blue. Being a tree-dwelling tarantula, in the wild this spider makes its home high above the treetops in the canopies, where it spins a thick tube-like web between leaves, vines, and branches, which serves as the spider's home. Specialized adhesive setae or hairs on the bottom of the spider's legs allow it to grip on the smooth vertical surfaces with ease, making it a very skilled climber. The diversipes is not a very large tarantula, with females typically maxing out at around a 4.5 to 5 inch leg span, with males staying somewhat smaller. One very interesting thing to note about the diversipes that makes it rather unique is that unlike other pink-toe tarantulas, which, while somewhat skittish, are still rather docile for the most part and would much rather flee or freeze to avoid detection from a predator when threatened. The Amazon Sapphire Pink-Toe, however, is much more on the spunky side and will not hesitate to slap the ground, throw up a threat pose, or even bite when cornered. However, when given the opportunity to do so, it would still much rather flee than attack. And they are quite fast and are really incredible jumpers as well. For spiderlings, a custom spiderling enclosure or even a 12 to 16 ounce deli cup with holes punched in the side makes an excellent starter home. For juveniles and subadults, a 1 to 2 gallon mainstays container makes for an excellent enclosure. And finally, for adults, a 5-gallon enclosure is typically ideal, although you can go slightly larger if you feel the need to do so. I prefer enclosures that open from the front, as this spider likes to create its web, usually in the upper corner of its home, which, of course, if you remove the top from the enclosure in this type of setup, you will most likely rip up and destroy the spider's web, which can cause it stress over the long term. The Zoomed and Exoterra 12x12x12 or 12x12x18 enclosures make for an excellent enclosure for an arboreal tarantula of this size. Being that they spend most of their time off the ground, they only require about an inch or two of substrate. I personally like to use a mixture of cocoa fiber and peat moss. An extra layer of sphagnum moss on the ground can help retain moisture and create more humidity within the enclosure. I provide my diversipes a large piece of cork bark that I lean against one side of the enclosure for the tarantula to climb on as well as to anchor its web into. I also provide a variety of plastic leaves, vines, and branches for aesthetic appeal as well as for extra anchor points. You can use live plants as well, although it is often more difficult to maintain this type of setup, and you will want to pick plants that require little light. The Amazon Sapphire Pink-Toe does possess urticane hairs like most New World tarantulas. However, they have to be broken off, meaning that the tarantula has to literally rub its abdomen against your skin in order for the hairs to become stuck and anchored into the skin. They cannot be brushed or kicked off like many other New World species can do. The hairs of this species are considered pretty mild. However, if stuck in the eyes or nose, they can cause rather intense itching. All in all, this is a hugely overlooked species that does not get enough attention. And trust me, guys, when I say this, you are missing out if you do not have one of these in your collection. Well, folks, that's a wrap on this one. Please, if you have not already, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know any other topics or species you would like me to discuss. Make sure to check out that Patreon. I'll post a link in the description below. And as we say here every day at the Arachnoholic, you guys stay awesome.